This is Dr. Bill Korter with one question for today's presentation. Do you know a missing high school course? And that is, can you guess at or create in your own mind a course that should be taught in high school but is not currently being taught? And let me explain why I'm asking the question. Right now, we really are working to revamp our educational system. All presidents, President Bush, President Obama, they each come up with their federal plans for improving our educational system. Leave no child behind, etc. In addition, we have private citizens like Bill Gates. He has the XQ, the Super School Project right now. Go to Google and look it up. But it's a $50 million amount that's out there for the best group that comes up with a new design and a new curriculum for high school. And so I'm not a teacher, I'm not a professor, I'm not involved in any of those groups that are trying to come up with a new high school curriculum. But Bill Gates, if you're listening, I have a course I strongly recommend you add. And let me explain. When I look back at my high school education, even my college education, I took a ton of courses in chemistry, biology, physics, math, calculus. Do any of those courses have any relevance whatsoever to my work today, even as a physician? The answer would be no. What I learned in chemistry in high school, what I learned in chemistry even in college, is so rudimentary, and the knowledge that has grown is so exponential that what I learned in high school and college was essentially useless, except I learned how to learn. But I do think there are some courses that are timeless, and I do think there are some materials that should be taught. Let me give you two very simple examples. I wish someone had shared with me, never happened during my entire educational career, the study at Yale University. Yale University studied their graduating class and asked, how many of you have written goals? 3% of the class had written goals, 97% did not. They followed the group for 20 years. At the end of 20 years, the 3% that had written goals at the time of graduation had more money than the other 97% of their class combined. Now, they've done a whole bunch of serious, detailed studies that look at more than money, that look at other areas of life and other areas of happiness. But the same results. Those who have written goals end up having greater success, greater happiness, greater achievement. Another tiny little component. They've studied vocabularies as you progress through life. And vocabularies are a great indicator of success, better indicator than grades for success. But it's not the extensive words in terms of the vocabulary that are the key components. It's the number of positive words in your vocabulary versus negative words. The people with more positive words have a greater degree of happiness and a greater degree of success. Two small things that I never heard until well past my education. So here's my recommendation to Bill Gates. I think they should have a mandatory course that you have to take in high school. I'll call it Textbook for Living. I'm sure someone can come up with a much better name, but it would be a 2-semester course, and let me tell you exactly what I would recommend they teach. For the first semester, I would have a course where you read the great scholars on personal development and personal growth and self-improvement. That goes from Benjamin Franklin, who wrote the first book in this country for personal development on common sense. That goes to Napoleon Hill. It includes a whole spectrum of authors and speakers, from Zig Ziglar to Stephen Covey, to Wayne Dyer, to Deepak Chopra, Marianne Williamson, a whole variety of writers who have researched successful people, who have researched happy people, and who have studied the skills that you need to develop, the habits that you need to develop, and they have then shared those habits. That first semester of that course would be geared to teach everyone what are the key habits to give you the best shot for happiness in your life. Most people don't know them. I think every high school student, when they graduate, should know them. It's their choice whether to follow them, but they should know them. Now, the second half of the course, I would discuss the toxicity of the world. And so they know what they're facing and that what they need to overcome. I would discuss the global issues, our ethnic conflicts, our worldwide conflicts. But I also would discuss the smaller things, the 77,000 chemicals, the GMOs, the contaminants to our food supply. And I would give them an understanding of how that toxicity has developed and where it's going. And I also would give them even the little points, like the teenage girls when they put on makeup. Do they have any understanding of how much of that makeup has toxic chemicals and how you need to switch to organic products? All of those chemicals have an impact on your intellectual development, your mood, your behaviors. All of those should be taught because they're timeless. What you learn today on those 2 semesters would be just as valuable 20 years from now as today. And I don't think you can say that about many courses. So I do recommend that if anyone has any access to Bill Gates or to your curriculum at your school, you give some consideration for a course to teach life skills. I think if we did that, the individual would be better prepared to move on towards college and adulthood, and the individual would be better prepared to face the turbulence and the chaos, the violence, and the toxicity of our world. And then lastly, if you need a habit, if the school won't develop that curriculum, develop it yourself. There's nothing better than parental education, parental teaching, maybe some home teaching. Learn that material yourself and teach it to your children. That's what I did, and I think it paid huge dividends, and that's what I recommend to you. Thank you for listening. Again, as I always say, if this resonates with you at all, please go to drbillcorder.com. I have a variety of materials on similar topics that expand in greater detail. I have written blogs, but I have material that I think will help in parenting, will help in teaching, and will help with specifically teaching good stuff, not stuff that will be useless. Thank you.